This video contains disturbing content, sexual themes, and graphic images. Any material used in this video is for educational and reviewing purposes under fair usage. Viewer discretion advised. No copyright infringement intended.
Serial killers have always been attracted to power. They love the feeling of being in control, physically, sexually, and mentally. Most often they are born as normal people, who turn sour due to an abusive childhood, unstable families, and other dark surrounding influences.
The following list is the most infamous serial killers, known for their dark origins, tactical strategies, and their spine-tingling experiences and acts they committed.
Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper was an American serial killer and necrophile. At 15 years old, he killed his grandmother because he, quote-unquote, just wanted to see what it felt like to kill grandma. He then killed his grandpa to avoid getting in trouble, but was eventually sent to a state hospital, where he befriended a psychologist. Kemper had a high IQ of 136 and was a very big guy, clocking in at 6 foot 9 inches and nearly 300 pounds. He began a killing spree in Santa Cruz, including mostly female college and high school students, where he would take their dead bodies back home, have sex, and dissect them. Kemper even befriended many local cops to avoid suspicion.
Please forgive my pronunciation on this next word here. Jade Iqbal. Jade Iqbal was a serial killer from Pakistan who claimed he killed around 100 boys in 18 months. He would drug, rape, and strangle his victims before cutting their bodies into pieces, dissolving them with hydrochloric acid and dumping them into the sewers. After neighbors complained about the smell, he instead dumped them into the Ravi River. Before being hanged, Iqbal proudly was heard saying, "I am Jade Iqbal, killer of 100 children. I hate this word. I am not ashamed by my own actions, and I will be readily dead. I have no regrets. I killed your children."
Dennis Nilsen. Also known as the Muswell Hill murderer, Dennis Nilsen has killed at least 15 young men and boys. He lured them into his apartment with the promise of alcohol or shelter, and then strangled or drowned them. Afterwards, he would perform his ritual of dressing and bathing in the victim's body. Sometimes, he would preserve the corpse and sleep with it for several days, simply because he felt lonely. Finally, Nilsen would dissect and dispose the body through burning them in a bonfire or flushing them down the drain.
John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was a sharp businessman who spent his time dressing up as a clown and entertaining children at hospitals. On May 22, 1978, Gacy befriended a man named Jeffrey Ringdahl and asked him if he wanted to share a joint while driving around a lovely town. It was then Gacy got the idea and drugged Ringdahl and viciously raped and tortured him. Sadly, Ringdahl was one of the few rare victims that survived Gacy's attack. After that, Gacy killed around 30 people, mostly adult males and young male children. He lured them to his house, tortured, molested, and murdered them. Gacy disposed of the bodies by burying them in one way or another or dissolving them. After being sent to prison, him and his sadistic little ways actually figured out a way to make his imprint on the serial killer world by sketching paintings of himself in a clown suit. With little children. This is before being killed by lethal injection.
The Smiley Face Killer. Starting as early as the 1990s, at least 40 college-age men were found dead after being drowned in water. The only thing connecting these murders together were these graffitied smiley faces near all the murder scenes. The problem is that these killings occurred in 25 cities in 11 different states. Now, there are a few suspects, and people have been apprehended for the killings, but they still occur, and the Smiley Face Killer's true identity remains unknown.
Herman Dreneth. After changing his name to Harry Powers and moving to America in 1927 during the Roaring Twenties, Powers would lure women using advertisements seeking love. Instead of love, however, he had other intentions such as murder or stealing their money. His last 5 victims included his 2 wives, Esta and Dorothy, and their 3 children, Abigail, Henry, and Greta. The children had been locked in a cage and starved as they were forced to watch their mothers die. What a sadistic end.
Joachim Kroll. Born in Germany, Joachim grew up in a poor family with little education, having an IQ of only 76. Kroll began killing in 1955 after his mother had died. He would surprise his victims, strangle them, then have sex with their dead bodies. Afterwards, he would mutilate and cut out pieces of the body to eat, to save up on grocery money. Kroll was eventually arrested for the kidnapping of a young girl named Marion Kettner. When police entered Kroll's home, they found pieces of Kettner's body in the refrigerator in a pan of boiling water, and even stuck in the waste pipe.
The Butcher Rostov. I warn you, this next one's a little grisly, so I recommend turning off the video or skipping to the next item on the list if you do not want to hear it. Andrei Costello, sometimes known as the Butcher of Rostov, was a serial killer known for committing sexual assault, murder, and, of course, molestation, which is a common theme in this list, of at least 52 women and children. As a teacher, Costello would sexually abuse his young female students. After being fired from 2 different schools, he lured a 9-year-old girl to an old abandoned house, where he tried to rape her. However, he could not achieve erection. Angrily, he choked the young girl when she tried to escape and ejaculated in the process of stabbing her. It was then that Costello realized that the only way he could achieve sexual arousal and orgasm was by stabbing and strangling women and children. The feeling overwhelmed him, and he began his killing spree to relieve his pleasure.
Albert Fish. When his wife divorced and left him with 6 children, Albert Fish grew an interest in eating raw meat. He tortured and murdered 3 children, but it's believed that he's killed and eaten at least 15 children, and molested another 100. He's most known for the murder of a young girl named Grace Buds. Her parents trusted Fish with driving Grace to a party, but Fish had other intentions. He even sent her parents a letter describing how he murdered and ate their daughter.
When all was ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me all naked, she began to cry and tried to run down the stairs. I grabbed her, and she said she would tell her mama. First, I stripped her naked. How she did kick, bite, and scratch. I choked her to death, then cut her in small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms, cook, and eat it. How sweet and tender her little ass was roasted in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I did not fuck her though I could have had I wished. She died a virgin.
Richard Chase. A paranoid schizophrenic, Richard Chase grew up with an abusive mother and a chronic drug addiction. His first victim was Ambrose Griffin, a father of 2, during a drive-by shooting. His next was a 3-month pregnant woman named Teresa Williams. Now, after killing her, Chase had sex with her dead body, mutilating it in the process, and then, in true cultic fashion, bathed in her blood. On January 27th, 1978, Chase shot and murdered Don Meredith, and then continued to steal his wallet and car keys. After that, he rampaged through his own home, killing his wife and her 6-year-old son, Jason, as well as their 22-month-old nephew, David. Chase performed necrophilia with Meredith's body as well as some of the children's, drank blood, and ate the infants' organs, before disposing of their bodies at a nearby church.
H. Holmes. Better known as Dr. Henry Holmes, Holmes was one of the first documented American serial killers. In 1983, he built a hotel specifically for murdering up to 200 victims, which would include its female employees, lovers, and hotel guests. The soundproof rooms were fitted with gas lines that allowed him to asphyxiate the guests in the room at any time. The bodies were dropped down by a secret chute to the basement, where some were meticulously dissected, stripped of flesh, crafted into skeleton models, and then sold to medical schools. Holmes also cremated or destroyed some of the bodies by using 2 giant furnaces, as well as a pit of acid, bottles of various poisons, and even a stretching rack. Holmes was hanged, but his neck didn't immediately snap. He twitched and strangled for 15 minutes before finally giving in.
Ed Gein. Isolated from the outdoors, Ed Gein grew up with an alcoholic older brother and a verbally abusive, heavily religious older mother, who taught Gein that sex was a sinful thing. Gein was hopelessly attached to his mother even after death. He would keep her room completely spotless. After his mother's death, Gein wanted a sex change, so he did the only natural thing that I guess Gein knew how to do, and that was digging up corpses and making a human suit after her skin. While searching his home, police found human skin fashioned into a lampshade, a human skull used as soup bowls, and a human heart in a paper bag. A window shade pole consisting of human lips, a vest crafted from human skin of a woman's torso, and a belt made from several human nipples, and socks made from human flesh.
Gias de Ras. Gias de Ras was a 15th century knight who was convicted of killing 80 to 200 children. After losing his parents at age 11 and being raised by his controlling grandfather, Ras joined the military and became commander of the Royal Army. A distinguished soldier, his victims were often boys ranging from ages 6 to 18. Ras would invite them to his castle, offer them food, nice clothing, and strong wine. He was said to either hanged, strangled, dismembered, sodomize, or even decapitate his young victims. Different sources say he enjoyed cutting out their throats, sitting on their slit stomachs, and laughing until they die.
Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was born with a disorder called APD, antisocial personality disorder, which means he cared very little about the feelings of other people. He was one of the few serial killers on this list who have a normal childhood until the age of 10, when he began searching for dead animals in the woods to dissect. As an adult, he dissolved the heads of squirrels in acid and was arrested for masturbating in front of young boys. The murders began starting with the male hitchhiker whom he beat to death. He'd keep the skull of his as a trophy, but kept the bodies let the bodies decompose. By 1991, Dahmer was killing at least one man per week. He would pick up one of these men at a gay bar, take him to a home, sleep with them, and ask the potential victim to go on a date with them. If the man agreed, he would be set free, but if he tried to leave, Dahmer would capture him, tie him to a chair, and drill a hole in his skull, emptying the household fluids up in there. And, well, basically turn him into a zombie. The victims would die, and he would keep their heads in the freezer as a trophy.
The Metal Fang. Known as Metal Fang for his white metal teeth, the serial killer is said to have killed and eaten at least 7 to 9 different women, but different sources say he's killed 50 to 100 women. He's gone so far as to serve portions to his friends. It's believed that after Metal Fang cannibalizes his victims, he drinks their blood, performs necrophilia, and even performs intercourse in the stabbed wounds. After being deemed insane, he was sent to a mental asylum. He was freed after doctors believed he was cured, and the metal thing's whereabouts are currently unknown.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been That Creepy Reading. Hopefully doing a few lines in the future for my good friend George here. Hopefully you can go out, check out my channel, hopefully in the description or in an annotation right there, somewhere on the screen. And please understand that this video was done for entertainment purposes only, and we do not mean to disrespect those who have died or really offend anyone. This is for entertainment purposes. Please don't be taking this too seriously. That being said, I'm out.